Yo, what's up guys, welcome back to another video. This is a reaction to the 7 most baffling things about American grocery stores. I don't really know what sort of stuff will be here. Will it just be to do with like how American grocery stores will have the insane level of options that you have for like specific foods? Or will this be more like specific to just what the experience is like going to an American grocery store? We're going to see. I do enjoy these videos. I always find them very interesting, and also Lost in the Pond. He's always got like a very good, I guess, understanding of both sort of sides, the UK and the US, and how different they are. But we're going to check this out, hopefully going to enjoy, and let's just see what these differences are.
Hello, this year
These baffling things about US grocery stores, which I assume are differences.
I have been doing a lot of videos devoted to trying American food for the first time. This video is sponsored by SimpliSafe. After all, there's no safe like SimpliSafe. And something you don't really see in those videos is the fact that we have to go and get the ingredients from a supermarket. I have 2 missions on this mission. Number 1, to pick up some of the ingredients for Maryland crab cakes, which I'll be making in my next video. And number 2, to show you some of the baffling things about American grocery stores. And just as we pull into the parking lot at Jewel Osco, if you've not yet subscribed to this channel, do that now.
He's got me hooked.
In the meantime, let's go shopping. Well, first thing to notice is that you don't have to put any kind of coin in order to procure.
There's probably a reason why in the UK you have to put a coin in, and that's because people just end up stealing them. And you'll just end up seeing like trolleys just in the most random places, like in a ditch or something. I guess in America they don't do that because people have got other things to do. In the UK, I remember, oh my days, we done this thing as kids, like we were like probably like 11, 12, and we named it Jackbutt. It was basically a knockoff of Jackass. And we had a trolley, and we pushed each other down like a hill. Like a hill that's a road, but it's like a back road, so it's not like there's no cars going through it. It's just, it leads people to their homes, and there's like a woodland next to it. And we just pushed each other down the hills in the trolleys. That was our version of Jackass. Yeah, that's what we used to do. That's basically growing up in the UK, just finding something that you can do to have fun and then doing it.
Or a shopping trolley, or cart as they're known here. This is something you will see at Aldi, which is something that you see at Aldi around the world. But for the most part, American carts don't require it. In the UK, coin-operated trolleys are a bit more prevalent.
So yeah, coin-operated trolleys are, I thought that was mostly all you could get, especially in grocery stores. But what you can do is, instead of just using like a £1 coin, you can just get like a coin slot, sort of, what do you call it? It's like for your keychain or your keyring. Yeah, your keyring. Just get like a little coin thing that you just use for the trolley.
And with some supermarkets employing them and others not. Back in 2017, these trolleys made the news when many of them were incapable of accepting Britain's new 12-sided pound coin. You know, I was just thinking about something. When we were in Britain, we were walking around one of the superstores out there, and I noticed these stools that I had forgotten about. They used to be in all of the grocery stores in England. They still are, it seems. And you don't see them as often in American grocery stores. Perhaps it's because the shelves are slightly higher up, so the shelf stackers who use those stools in Britain, they need something a bit taller. So usually what you see in grocery stores here are things like ladders to help them get to those higher spaces, because as you can see, I'm a tall person, I can only just about touch that. And on the subject of size, it won't surprise anyone to learn that American supermarkets are generally bigger than their UK counterparts. I found this to be especially true at Walmart, whose retail spaces are so big they're not even supermarkets, but hypermarkets.
Holy shit.
A hypermarket combines a supermarket with a department store, basically a one-stop shop for everything. However, it might surprise some to learn that Britain has its own hypermarkets with the likes of Tesco Extra, usually...
I mean, they're hypermarkets, but they're definitely not anything close to what you get in like a Walmart or a Target.
Found on the outskirts of town.
That's the Great Yarmouth one. Why has he got the Great Yarmouth Tesco's?
That said, at 70,000 square
It's near me, that's why I was confused by that.
feet, even these don't stack up to those Walmart supercenters, which average about 100,000 square feet. I have no idea how to find crab meat. I've never done this. We could just go to Baltimore. Hello, just had to quickly come back from the store because I realised that I forgot to lock the door, and then realised, actually, that doesn't matter. Because even if my wife's cousin Chad has found out our address...
Secure that bag. Love that.
Lost in the pond to customise your system today.
There you go.
In the description below. You won't normally find milk of this size showing up in Asda because we just don't have the fridge space for it. And that's not all. The inclusion of preservatives as well as a different pasteurisation method means that American milk actually lasts longer than British milk.
So if you buy milk from the British shop, it would probably last, so you'll probably get it, say you get it on, the 21st of May. It'll probably last, and if I went to the shop, I'd probably be able to get milk that would last. Depends if it's been restocked. On a bad day, probably like the 24th. But on a good day, maybe like the 31st of May. So a good 10 days, which seems like quite a lot. Maybe sometimes a little bit more or a bit less. It depends again. I don't go to like a big shop usually, so it's not as much stock. But I'd say on what you're looking for is probably like a 10-day sort of span of what you're going to get. What's it going to be like in the US?
Milk. So Americans can justify buying it by the gallon. But what is a gallon? Because both countries have different ways of defining.
Okay, how long will US milk typically last then? Let me know that.
A US gallon measures in at 128 fluid ounces, while a UK gallon equates to 160 fluid ounces. And so you might think, oh, Lawrence, you lied. British milk is bigger. Well, not really, because in the UK, milk is not typically sold by the gallon, but in pints and litres. The largest bottle on the market is the 6-pint bottle, which is a tad smaller than a US gallon. Even if a UK pint is 1 1/4 the size of a US pint, it's all quite confusing. I think this will just about fit in our fridge. One thing you'll often notice in US grocery stores is the price tag. It's very inviting. It usually ends at 99. It makes you think, okay, it's 1 cent cheaper than, say, $8 if it's $7.99. And that's great. So you get the thing, you put it in your cart, and you walk up to the till thinking, all right, great, we've made some good deals here. Until sales tax happens. In the US, sales tax is added at the point of purchase, and after 17 years living in the country, I no longer bat an eyelid at this. But having arrived here from a country where value-added tax is included in the price tag, it did briefly make me reconsider buying a ukulele when I barely had enough money to justify it in the first place.
Yeah, there's probably cases where people go to the US and they realise, God damn, I've not got the money for this, so they just have to take it back. Because it's probably, like another extra 10%?
What's this? Refrigerated eggs. This is not something you would see in a British store where the eggs are usually placed just on a shelf somewhere away from refrigeration. And why is that? It all comes down to both countries' attempts at preventing contamination. In the United States, the USDA mandates that eggs must be washed and sanitized before they reach the consumer. Basically, this is to ensure that it's not covered in chicken shit. The European Union, on the other hand, says that Class A eggs must not be washed, which sounds mental, right? Except the EU believes that washing eggs can do more harm than good. And there's a couple of reasons for this. When a hen lays an egg, she coats it in a cuticle in order to protect the egg against contamination once it pops out. Anyway, it's thought that washing eggs can result in the removal of this cuticle, making eggs vulnerable to pathogenic contamination. In America, the USDA requires producers to wash eggs in water with a minimum temperature of 90 degrees Fahrenheit. They are then rinsed with a special cleaning spray with the intention of eradicating contamination, and then dried. Not drying the eggs would mean that the resulting moisture could become a breeding ground for salmonella. Additionally, using cold or dirty water in the cleaning process would cause bacteria to seep in, and there'd be no extra lives for that egg. So what's this got to do with refrigeration? Well, firstly, the USDA freely admits that washing the egg can remove the cuticles, so chilling the eggs in store becomes more critical. In Britain and the EU, not so much.
So if you leave your eggs out in the US, it could actually cause them to go bad, because that's just mad. I mean, I still put my eggs in the fridge. Unless there's no space in my fridge, I'll put them in the fridge because it's just force of habit. Plus, I don't usually have my fridge full to the brim. But that is kind of mad. Like, if in the US, if you left your eggs out, they might just go bad.
One thing that's often mentioned about US grocery stores is that the cashiers, when you get to the till, are usually standing up. A lot has been made of how this is not great for, you know, your physical well-being and all of that. We're not used to this in Britain, where they are sitting on a stool, and as somebody who has just rubbish knees, I can completely empathise. On the other hand, arguments in favour of this, usually by those that own the stores, seem to be that standing up looks more professional and that it gives the cashier more range of movement, which, as I'm demonstrating here, is obviously true, and I take back everything I said in the previous scene. But let me know in the comments what you think. Should cashiers be able to sit like they do in Europe, or should they stand like true patriots?
Let them sit.
Of course, increasingly, both countries are adopting self-checkouts, and Chicago's Jewel Osco is no exception. I'm well practiced in this, and in fact, self-checkouts are, I think, amazing.
So they're great. I think it's just the only issue with them is they're probably just making people lose their jobs. But they are very convenient.
You don't have to talk to anybody unless you're buying alcohol, but I quit alcohol, and that was one of the reasons, being social. What's going on with that?
Fair.
That no eggs. What? I used to be good at it. Yeah, that did it. We did it. That's good. Old Bay seasoning.
How many store-provided bags did you use today?
0. And of course, with Britain and America being two nations divided.
The thing is, though, in self-checkouts now in the UK, from what I see, almost all the time you can only use cards. You can't use cash anymore, which I don't know if that's like that in the US, but I just saw that guy behind him shopping and paying using cash, so I assume maybe it's not like that in the US and you can still use cash in most self-checkouts.
By a common language, you can't really talk about grocery stores without talking about some of the terminological differences. The big one, of course, as I mentioned earlier, is trolley versus shopping cart. And of course, when you come to pay in Britain, you go to the till. In America, it's the cash register. And one that stood out to me recently, as people that don't usually go in store, but in fact go to the curbside pickup lanes in Britain, which I'm surprised to say does have curbside pickup. It's just there, it's called Click and Collect. If you liked this video, be sure to watch 8 American habits that confused me as a Brit. Until the next video, goodbye.
There we go. There we go. Pretty interesting, to be fair. It's always cool to just see comparisons between the US and the UK. He said parking lot instead of car park, another indicator of Lawrence's continuing Americanization. As a woman who is 5'2", I often ask the nearest tall person to help me get things off the top shelf. I actually say to them, tall person, could you help me? 99.99% of the time, they do assist me. So what? Sometimes they don't assist you? Who's not assisting someone when they're asking for help? God damn, man. Anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed this reaction, and until next time, subscribe. Peace.